So I was working for a marketing company all through high school, like a marketing agency. What we would do, if you're familiar with like drop shipping, e-commerce, print on demand, that kind of thing, we were building a lot of stores like that. And I was already like taking Zoom calls, doing sales calls with all of them.
While you were in high school?
Yeah, while I was in high school.
That's impressive, man.
At that time, I was like doing sales calls, selling like $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 packages. And I was doing it to like these 50-year-old guys that wanted to invest in like a drop shipping store. And then they would always ask me like, oh, so how old are you?
Like, I'm 16.
Yeah, I'm like 15, 16 years old, right? Yeah, so I would always lie about my age, and I'd always get like age discrimination and stuff.
I worked for Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah.
Okay. And you, on the other hand, you worked like virtually for this company.
And now I feel like I'm finally like catching up to it. Like people are more willing to do business with a 23-year-old kid than like a 16-year-old kid, like building their store. But that was a lot of experience.
It still hits, I don't miss. I just go, like a go flow, and I'm almost done. And I told you so when I throw these flows like it's Rochambeau, and I ain't too close to the Joe Smoke goes. And I'm on my grind, that is all the time. I do not do breaks, that's right, I stay in dry. And look, I'm back with a little bit of that, a little more cash than it came in with. Ready, that cat is out that bag, but I still ask you, the boy got skills. I don't need her, I don't need him, I don't need help with me, I got this. I can sing songs, I can spit raps, and I can do both, even do this. Word.
This episode is brought to you by Anthracite Pallet Solutions. Need reliable, durable pallets to keep your business moving? At Anthracite Pallet Solutions, we specialize in new and used 48x40 wooden pallets. Whether you're shipping, storing, or stacking, we offer high-quality pallets that keep your operations running smoothly. With our own fleet of trucks and trailers, we deliver on time, every time. And if warehouse space is a concern, our drop trailer services have you covered. From custom orders to large-scale deliveries, we're here to meet your every need with top-notch customer service and unbeatable prices. We're currently shipping within 2 hours of Scranton, Pennsylvania, including Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey, and Maryland. Call us today at 570-606-9206 or inquire online at anthracitepallet.com and let us handle your pallet solutions. Anthracite Pallet Solutions, built to last. Designed to move. This episode is brought to you by Sweat Tent, the pioneers of the portable wood-burning sauna. Did you know that using the sauna 3 to 4 times per week could reduce your risk of cardiovascular disease by up to 50% and make you 60% less likely to experience Alzheimer's disease? That's why I've been a big fan of the sauna for years. But having to go to a crowded gym to do it isn't ideal. And all the at-home options are bulky and expensive. That's why I only use the Sweat Tent for my sauna needs. It's the most storable and affordable wood-burning sauna on the market. It not only takes minutes to set up, but it can reach 200 degrees Fahrenheit in 30 minutes or less. So whether you're enjoying it yourself in your backyard, with friends, or in need of a reliable sauna on the go, Sweat Tent is your best choice for the most portable, storable, and enjoyable outdoor sauna experience. All On The Stacks listeners will receive $100 off when you use code OTS. Visit sweattent.com today to get $100 off your purchase with code OTS at checkout. Again, that's sweattent.com to get $100 off with code OTS. Sweat Tent, helping you fire up your home wellness routine. This episode is brought to you by FitAF. If you haven't already noticed, I live and breathe entrepreneurship. Whether it's launching new ventures, attending pitch meetings, or mentoring budding entrepreneurs, my schedule is jam-packed. And that's where FitAF steps in. Their menu changes weekly, offering a variety of chef-inspired meals designed by nutrition experts using only the best quality ingredients, keeping me fueled and focused. Their vast selection of meals has you covered for all types of dietary restrictions and diet plans, including keto, paleo, vegetarian, vegan, gluten-free, and more. As an On The Stacks listener, enjoy our exclusive offer. Get 20% off your first order of 7 meals or more when you use code OTS at checkout at fitafnutrition.com. Again, that's code OTS for 20% off your first order of 7 meals or more at fitafnutrition.com. Healthy meals and seamless nutrition, keeping entrepreneurs at the top of their game. So I got to hear this Arizona story. So you're born and raised here.
Yeah, I was born and raised in northeastern Pennsylvania. Like I didn't go to Myers or that stuff until high school. So I grew up in like the Pocono area. Went to a very, very small school and had a lot of problems in that school, like getting bullied, that kind of thing. So my parents ended up pulling me out of that school. And then that's when we moved to Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. And I went to Myers before like WBA or whatever came about. Went to school there, and then right after high school, I graduated, and then I just drove straight to Arizona.
Why? Like, what was the...
So I was working for a marketing company all through high school, like a marketing agency. What we would do, if you're familiar with like drop shipping, e-commerce, print on demand, that kind of thing, we were building a lot of stores like that. And I was already like taking Zoom calls, doing sales calls with all of them.
While you were in high school?
Yeah, while I was in high school.
That's impressive, man.
Yeah, it was really funny too, because when at that time, I was like doing sales calls, selling like $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 packages. And I was doing it to like these 50-year-old guys that wanted to invest in like a drop shipping store. And then they would always ask me like, oh, so how old are you?
Like, I'm 16.
Yeah, I'm like 15, 16 years old, right? Yeah. So I would always lie about my age, and I'd always get like age discrimination and stuff until like, now I feel like I'm finally like catching up to it. Like people are more willing to do business with a 23-year-old kid than like a 16-year-old kid, like building their store. But that was a lot of experience. Like that was a really cool company to work for, because I was doing not only sales for packages like that, but also setting up like drop shipping stores, building websites, doing all the marketing, the advertising, and all of that stuff for that. And then I moved to Arizona to be with them. They had a warehouse and stuff.
Okay, so is that where they were like headquartered?
Yeah, that's where they were headquartered. So I went out there. It was called The Bubble. It was like all of us virtual like team members or whatever just went to what's called The Bubble in Arizona, where we all just like connected over Black Friday, because it's like our biggest time for e-commerce. Met everybody. It was super cool. We all just kind of like aligned. We connected. We had a lot of chemistry together. So we all just kind of, a couple different groups of guys were just like, hey, you want to live with me? You want to live with me? And we all just kind of got our own place out there. It was like kind of think of like a frat, like a college, but for like making money in e-com. That's like what I got into. So then I just drove out, lived with a couple of guys, and kind of took it from there. And then, built up partnerships. I worked with a pretty big clothing brand at the time, like this Ojusha guy that I was working with. I was doing all the marketing, advertising for him. Any brand that I could get my hands on, that's like what I was learning until I moved back and kind of failed in Arizona, and then had to move back. But I came with like all these skills and kind of started my own practice from there, with all the stuff that I learned.
Oh, so when you were in high school, I have to understand this. So like when I was in high school, like I worked for Dunkin' Donuts. Yeah. Okay. And then I worked for Wegmans. And you, on the other hand, you worked like virtually, right? For this company. I mean, I just find it so interesting because, obviously I think times are a little bit different obviously now. Right. I'm 35. I'm a little bit older than you. It makes me actually feel really old right now. But I just find it so interesting that you, when you were in high school, you had a job like that. I'm assuming it was obviously just part-time, right? Or maybe
so
a little,
when I was in high school, I was working originally, like my part-time, full-time job was like a nursing home. So I was like working in dietary, like cooking and stuff, like for old people. So that's where I was making most of my money. And then when I was working with them, that was also part-time. So they were paying me like $400 bi-weekly or something to just be a part of the team and like coach students and talk to these investors and stuff. So it was like not a lot of money at all, but the network and the people that I was working with were like huge.
How'd you find it? How'd you find them?
That was just, they like DM'd me on Instagram, and I was just like, yeah, let's do it. And then I think I paid them like a couple $100 to get coached. And then I kind of picked it up real quick, and they were like, hey, you should just come on to the team and help teach more students and kind of like grow. So that's how I found them. And it was really cool. Yeah, I was just working a lot, because I was like going to school during the day. I was working my part-time job at the nursing home right after that to make money. And then I was working on e-commerce and building websites and stuff in all my free time, and then on top of like playing football or hanging out with friends, I was just like busy the whole time. So it was really cool.
That's wild. I mean, like, again, like, at such a young age, I mean, that's, it's impressive that you like had like a job like that. I mean, like I said, I feel like times are a little bit different now. So like,
especially then too, because this was like before COVID, right? So like everybody right now is very used to being on Zoom, doing Google Meets, being virtual world, like
work from home.
Yeah, but then like I had to explain to people like, hey, you got to download Zoom. Like you have to even take this meeting. Yeah, like, what's Zoom? Like. So that's like the time that I was even in doing that, and then getting them on. It was just like a completely different era. So it was really fun.
So it didn't work out for you ultimately in Arizona. And did you say at some point you were homeless out there?
Not in Arizona. So when I like originally moved to Texas, that's when I did not have a home. Like I moved out there just kind of like on the bucket mentality. It was my first taste of like real money. I was making like really good money when I moved out there. And then I ran into, I don't know if you're familiar with like payment processing or any of that. So I had like this subscription model where I was like with Stripe, and I was basically charging people like 20 something bucks a month to get published in an article every single month. And that crushed it for us. All through the holidays, we like scaled that up were making like really, really good money, moved out there, and then Stripe just shut me down completely, right? Like just completely bans like all of this stuff.
Oh, no.
So I still had really good money when I was out there. So I'm not going to jack that I was like broke and homeless or whatever.
Yeah.
But my credit and all of that stuff was screwed because like when I lived in Arizona, I had to like break the lease and move back because of everything that didn't work out.
Yeah.
So I broke lease with my apartment. The business partner that I have, David, now at the time also broke lease from his Arizona spot. So we both have shitty credit completely. And we had to pay like $5,000 or something to get like out of collections for the apartment complex. So for those like 4 weeks, it was just like waiting for that thing to get
clear
off
up
of our credit report, right? To even get approved for an apartment. So during that time, for 4 weeks, we were literally just sleeping in Walmart parking lots in the car, just like trying to hustle and then like going to coffee shops and working, taking calls at the coffee shop and stuff.
Did like your family know? Like,
yeah.
Like, did you tell them like the truth of like really what was going on?
Yeah. And
did you?
Yeah, they were completely like, they're used to me, you know, like, cause I'm like, I've been crazy since I was young. I've been moving to Arizona.
Okay.
Like I moved to Arizona twice. Like I went to Jersey. So for me to just be like, Mom, I'm getting out of here. I'm going to Texas. Like she's just okay, you know.
She didn't think anything of it. Yeah. They were used to you just, you know, kind of bouncing around and just trying new things. And I think that's really cool, man. I think not a lot of you know, I mean, I didn't do anything like that, like at your age, you know, and there's not a lot of people that do or would, and there's not a lot of people I think that have the courage to even do that. I mean, think about that. I mean, you were, how old were you when you moved away?
I was 8. I just graduated.
Right.
So I was like 18.
You were 18. Yeah. I mean, like there's something to be said about that because like I said,
but I think that's like the perfect time. Sorry.
It is.
Like the perfect time to just do whatever you want. Like, cause
Agreed.
You're 18 years old. You really have, I mean, I'm even like 23 right now. And I still don't feel like I have that much like priorities or things holding me down to something that I don't have kids, I don't have a wife, I don't have a house, like I rent, like all that stuff. So it's like,
yeah, you got a little more freedom.
Yeah, now's the time to just like kind of go berserk
and explore.
Do whatever you want, and just like I'd rather like just kind of go out and try and fail and like the hard way and have to come home or whatever. Like I don't know, like
that's smart, man.
Yeah,
it's really smart. Like a lot of people would like look at that and be like, "Oh, you're crazy." It's like no, like that's actually like really smart. I mean, seriously, because again, there's not many people your age, not even people even at your age currently of 23, like that would even think about doing that, you know, just moving and just taking risks and this and that. Like, again, like to do that at 18, like it's awesome.
Yeah.
Like,
and the longer you wait, it's just going to come with you. Cause like by the time you're 30, like, or like 40 or 50, like, and you just keep going and you haven't taken that risk, it's just going to follow you forever and ever. And then you're just going to end up dying with all this regret, stuff that you just didn't do.
Oh, 100%.
So like, it's like, I don't know if you ever heard the phrase living in tomorrow, but a lot of people like, oh, tomorrow I'm going to start going to the gym. Tomorrow I'm going to start doing this. Tomorrow I'm going to start doing that. I just call it living in tomorrow because tomorrow never comes, you know, and you're just living there, but it's just never, ever comes.
You're never guaranteed either.
Yeah. So I'm just big on like, if you have an idea, you want to do something, just do it. Like right now, just kind of go for it and run it. Like the worst that could happen is not as bad as you think. So 9 times out of 10, if you just trust yourself, you'll figure it out.
Yeah, no, I believe that too. And I've told this story many times, but you know, you're hearing it for the first time. But like back when I first started this podcast, I kind of had like a similar mindset. And I always say like I was like somewhat naive about podcasting, how everything worked, just in general, like everything. Because I just went into it without really any expectations, no real plan. But had I have done like the homework to I just literally bought it. Like I just like one day was like, I just bought equipment and then I was like, yo, I'm going to start this podcast. And not that I didn't have a plan, but I kind of didn't.
Right.
But also like I didn't look too much into it. Like I didn't look into like all the good things and the bad things or how much work it's going to be. Because I think a lot of times people, they get freaked out once you do so much research online and you see how much work anything could be. It doesn't matter, you know, podcast or not. Any industry, obviously, just starting out, it takes a serious amount of work to get going. I would have talked myself out of doing it, and we wouldn't be sitting here right now. Because I just would have been like, that's too much. That's too much work. Like I probably never would have did it. And so, like I said, I kind of just went into it naive with, you know, again, no real, you know. And again, not that I didn't really have a plan, but I was just like, I was just testing the waters. And I was like, you know, if this works, cool. If it doesn't, so what?
Yeah.
You know, and I think more people need to, you know, embrace that, especially at a younger age.
Yeah. And as long as you just start, like, and kind of, this is what we were talking about earlier, just kind of letting it take you where it's supposed to take you. Like when I started, my PR firm's called Gldn, like Gldn. And when I started this, it was not a PR firm. Like I was working with that clothing company that I told you about, like Ojusha, and I knew it wasn't working out. So I wanted to kind of just do it on my own. I wanted to start my own clothing thing. And I was like, what can I come up with? And I thought of the name GLD, like just goldclothing.com. That's when I started. So it started as a clothing brand, took me into marketing, and now I'm here getting people on podcasts and doing television and stuff. So it's like where I started a few years ago versus where it took me, like you really don't know until you just dive into it and just kind of get started and figure it out.
Yeah,
as time goes on.
Yeah, and I think also too, just embracing like those changes and adapting. So like just kind of like how you said, like you realize, okay, hey, like this isn't working, but like what can I do, or what can we evolve it into? How can we adapt? Because I think a lot of times most people, you know, like when they do something like that, for example, they'll just like quit and stop, and then just that's it, they're done. But like, why not? You can roll it into something else.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like even this, like this wasn't even the On the Stacks brand wasn't even a podcast before it's a podcast. Similar story. Like it wasn't even a podcast. And then one day, you know, people were like, hey, you should make that into a podcast. And then I was like, I don't know anything about podcasting, but I was like, I'll figure it out. And like I said, I just bought the equipment, and well, here we are, you know, 4 or 5 years later. But again, like I think that ability, you know, in anything you do, not just business, but in life, just taking whatever it is that you're doing, whether it failed or not, like you can always just change course and just make it what you want. You can evolve it into anything else, really. And it's just a matter of just adapting.
Yeah. And to just focus on like what you love to do. Cause like when I was in school and stuff, like I just knew that I was not going to college and I was not going to work for somebody else. Like it doesn't matter. I could be making $30,000 a year with my business, or I could be making $1 million a year, as long as like I'm just doing my own thing, doing it like for myself, with myself, and just building a team. Like now it's grown into something really cool because I'm like starting to build a team. I'm starting to just kind of like grow overall as a company. And it's really cool to just kind of see something that I started like in Arizona with a clothing brand turn into like this thing that I'm building now with all these like really cool clients, stuff like that. So I don't know, as long as you love what you do and you're doing it, that's all that matters, I guess.
And the other thing that I find so interesting, we were kind of talking a little bit too right before we hit record, was so I went to school for PR. I have a 4-year degree in PR. You didn't go to college at all, but you are doing PR. Obviously, like I'm not doing PR, but this is kind of I mean, in a sense, it's sort of it's somewhat related. Again, like I just find it's just so interesting that you're doing PR, and it's like and you know, thinking back on it, like, you know, do you have to go to school for certain things? Like, you know, we were having that conversation, and it's just interesting because, I mean, you obviously figured it out. Obviously, you had other experiences leading up to doing what you're doing now, which obviously have helped you kind of, you know, shape and have the knowledge and the skill and the contacts and the network and all that. I'm fascinated by it.
I think going to school, like for PR specifically too, I think going to school, it depends on what, like where you want to go in life, you know, like if you're starting your own PR company, you probably shouldn't be going to school. Because I didn't, like with me, it's like not only do I have to learn PR, but I have to learn every other aspect of running a business. I have to like learn sales. I have to learn marketing. I have to learn web development. I have to learn this, that, the other thing. So it's like I couldn't just limit myself into PR if I wanted to start a PR company. But still now, like even to this day, I'm still connecting with people, networking with people in PR that have went to school at PR that know a lot more than me when it comes to like personal branding or how you start a campaign or whatever, that I'm still learning from, and that I'll, you know, start bringing on my team like full. So it really does depend, I guess, on like where you want to go in the world. But for me, I wanted to just do my own thing, start my own business, and it led me to PR, you know, and I'm more of like a marketer, advertiser, like sales guy than I am actually like a PR expert. Like I feel like I could jump into any agency, launch a funnel, run ads to it, generate leads, and close the leads. So I don't think it really like limits me to like public relations in general, you know?
Yeah.
So
yeah, I remember it's making me think back to when I was in college, and when I was in college, I remember, so this was, I think it was when I was like a junior or senior in college. So I graduated college in 2011. I remember like some of our assignments, we actually had to utilize social media, which at that time, social media obviously wasn't as big, not nearly as big and or as popular as it was then. I forget what exactly what like the assignment was, but we had to do something on Twitter, which is obviously now called X. But like I remember like looking back on it, and like it was kind of like weird at that time. Right. Do you know what I mean? Like that weird, but also cool, because I've always liked social media. But like, you know, I never would have thought, like when I was in college, I never would have thought that a professor would have actually like been like, yes, I want you to be on Twitter, and yes, I want you to. And actually, part of the class is like you had to tweet about certain things, you had to follow certain hashtags, you had to you had to do
super cool
you had to
that
do
they
something.
Taught you that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so it was kind of interesting, but again, like also something not expected. You know, from a college professor, especially back then. And I just, like I said, like it wasn't like we got like it wasn't like she taught us like how to use it. It wasn't really that. It was more so just like get on there, engage, like, you know, kind of sort of learn it on your own. But also there was a couple things you had to do, and I forget what it was. There was something to do with like following some type of some hashtag or something. But
and now we're still on the same track. Like social media, like, I mean, people are starting more and more, like every single year, they're starting to favor a digital presence over like what they have here. You know, they're starting to favor digital assets over their regular assets here. So like, I think now is still a perfect time to get started. Like you're not missing out on anything. Like we're still moving that direction where, you know, I don't know. Like back then people used to get on TV to get viewership and promote themselves. Now they're getting on podcasts and clipping it up on the short form, posting it on TikTok. So it's just like a different game at a different time. You know, it's like the same kind of.
It's just kind of like remixed.
Yeah,
right. Like
a little bit.
Yeah. So I'm curious, you know, obviously because you are quite a bit younger than me, like I'm curious, in terms of like, again, like how you see the world in terms of like social media, use and value, and or the value of podcasts. So obviously I do know, obviously, because you kind of are somewhat in the business, because you do PR and obviously get people on shows. Obviously you see a value in it, but I'm curious from, I'll say, your generation's perspective, how you view social media and the power that it has and the value that it has.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's going to start changing like very quick. And you start to see this like even right now with where we're at with like TikTok or Twitch and streaming and stuff, like trends and stuff like pop up and disappear like so quick anymore. Like the attention span of regular humans is like completely dropped like to 2 seconds,
crazy.
You know?
Yeah.
Back then I used to like be able to launch ads, run a product to like a clothing brand very easily, just like basic image and get sales with that. Now it's like I have to capture your attention within like 2 seconds and get you to like opt into my funnel within milliseconds of like
otherwise it's done. It's over.
Otherwise it's dead. So like I don't know. I think it's going to just become more and more like intertwined with our life, especially with like the AR stuff and VR stuff like that you see coming out, NFTs even. Like I still think the technology is still there for that kind of stuff where eventually it's just going to be intertwined with our lives and, you know, just a part of us, you know, like whether social media is just in our glasses or we're able to link up with other people in the virtual realm or whatever. Like I think that's where it's going long term. But right now, podcasting, just getting clips, being short form, like very, very quick attention span kind of content, that's where we're at right now. So I think as long as you're crushing it there, you're good.
I love having these, you know, it's not often that I have somebody on as young as you actually. Like, I mean, I've had some people on, you know, I'll say, you know, very close in age to you. I always enjoy getting, you know, a perspective from somebody, you know, whether it's younger or older. I'm always interested to see like your perspective on things, kind of how you see the market, especially because like you're in it, you're doing it, you know, like, and you've been doing it. And one of the other things that's crazy, I said this to somebody else on an episode recently. You, because of your age, you don't know the difference of no social media, right?
Right. I mean, I would say there was like a very small horizon of like where I didn't have anything. Like I didn't have a phone. Like I remember my sister got her first phone.
What was it like for you growing up?
Yeah, it was like a BlackBerry, like you slide at the keyboard. It was like super cool. You got a keyboard with your phone. So that's where I was at. And I was probably like 10, maybe.
So you're on the cusp of like the technology first starting to come out.
Then I remember getting like my iPod Touch for the first time. And that was pretty cool, playing like Minecraft and like, that's even when I started like websites and stuff, because I would download like the JavaScript app and just kind of like learn how to code like certain like text boxes and stuff like that when I was very young.
You just taught yourself?
Yeah, I was just like 10, 11 years old on my iPod Touch just with the job, because my parents never bought me a computer and I always wanted a computer, but we didn't have the, money to buy a laptop. So I would just download like the JavaScript apps and just like kind of learn code on my own. And then eventually I got a laptop and I was able to start building websites. And that's like, I just like completely self-taught. Like when I was like 12, 13 is when I started like building websites. on a laptop, I would just like ask my sister like, oh, hey, we should do a cleaning business, build a cleaning website. And she'd be like, I don't even want to do that. I'd like build my
But you just want
dad
to
a
build the
construction-
brand.
I
Yeah.
just wanted to build something. I wanted to learn it. And that's kind of like what I used to learn how to like build websites and stuff. And that just kind of snowballed into what I'm doing now, you know, slowly but surely, and just like fine tuning my skills. And it's really cool just to see where I can.
Yeah. Where does like this you obviously you have this entrepreneurship drive and you know, obviously from a very, very, very young age.
Yeah, I have no idea where it came from though, honestly. like, because my parents are not, I mean, my dad owned a construction business for a while, so maybe it came from him, but I don't think it was like taught in any way or any fashion. I think it was honestly just like, I was either born with it or I just picked it up with, because I was on the brink of social media. Like, I think I grew up as like with social media. That's like my age is like, I watched all the first content creators and I'm still watching them now. So I think maybe that kind of influenced my decision in like, you know, watching like mansion tours or like watching like Logan Paul on his come up, like have all this money and stuff. And maybe that influenced me as a younger, like, I guess, kid to build it into like just
to want to be an entrepreneur. Like to want to do something like that.
Yeah. So I think that's where it probably stemmed from. And like to make money online, the only thing that you know is like social media or like get into a business, you know? So like if I'm not really big on social media, then I just wanted to kind of start building my own thing, making money.
Do you even know what a CD is?
Yeah, of course. I have. That's like my PlayStation 2 days, putting the disc into the tray. But
the change of technology, like you were right on the brink.
Yeah, literally
of that.
When everything was happening.
Yeah, I mean, because you mentioned the was it iPod?
Yeah, the iPod Touch, like everything, like literally all of it, even just a regular iPod, like the iPod Nanos and stuff. Like we had those when we were younger. But I would say like let's say floppy disks. I was not around for like stuff like that. So, but like right after that was. I mean, we grew up on it. So I think it was like, you ever read the book Outliers?
I haven't read the whole thing, but I have it. And I actually have read some of it.
It talks about that though. That's a really cool book to read because it talks about being born into like eras. Like,
with the hockey, right? It was with the hockey, hockey players being born in a certain time of the year. And it turned like statistically, they could be very good players. Right?
Yeah. I think like,
so I read a little bit.
He mentioned the hockey players like being born later in the year aren't as good as the people like born in the beginning because they're like growing up. They're just smaller. They're not as big as the better kids. So like coaches end up putting more time into the bigger kids and focusing on their skills to make them better players. So ultimately over time, they become better players. And I think like the same thing happens like with us is like, there's certain people right now that are born that might not be able to take advantage of the opportunities that I was given just because like I was born with social media. I could get on social media. I could take advantage of it. I'm old enough to have enough money to advertise and market and stuff. So like I could take advantage of it. But like, let's say a 10-year-old kid is trying to get on social media, 11-year-old kid, how's he even going to be able to do that without like the resources that I have to be able to take advantage? So he's kind of more, I guess, should be focusing on whatever trends are coming up now for his age. Like maybe like streaming could be one of them where he's able to just like get on it and kind of take advantage of it. But
I know. I think I know why I actually brought up this just reminded me. I know why I brought up the CD thing because like how you were talking about, your entrepreneurship, from like an early age, right? So like when I was in high school, I used to burn CDs, right? Do you know what that means? Like you can make CDs, you make them like you just copy, like because again back this was well I guess iPods, I guess kind of this was right before like they first started coming out. But again when CDs or discs like were a thing, like I used to go to Best Buy and I would buy like 50 or 100 blank CDs.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Right? Isn't that crazy?
I would never have done that. Like I don't think I've ever burnt a CD or even know the process that goes into something like that.
It's crazy, right? Yeah. So like I remember like when I was in high school, like that's what like I used to do it to like to make a little bit of money. So like I would always, I always just loved music. And I would always get the newest album of like, it was mostly all rap and hip hop. I'm huge rap and hip hop fan, but I remember like anytime any new album came out,
Yeah.
it didn't really matter who it was, but again, like I would buy it. I would buy it like day one, and I would immediately make I would just make copies. I know it's like obviously illegal, but
yeah,
I think I'm past that. I can't really get in trouble.
Because that's when you used to have to like purchase albums. I remember you had to like purchase albums on iTunes and all that stuff. So
yeah,
like,
and this was even before, like this was like even right before that too.
Yeah,
so like again, I don't think 50 Cent's gonna sue me for 50 CDs, but but when 50 Cent like first came out, like I probably sold like 50 to 75 copies like in high school. Like I would literally sell them like out of my locker or whatever. Like I would make them and I'd bring them all in. Like I would have people be like, "Oh, yo, Bill, can I get a copy of that?" And like everyone knew like I did that.
Yeah.
So like I made money just by like selling like stuff like that.
Yeah, that's super awesome that you're able to do that. That's hilarious.
Yeah, but it's like it's crazy like how, again, just talking about like the entrepreneurship from a young age and like, like what you did and like how you maybe like you made like a little bit of money, like not like a traditional job, like again, like obviously like I said, like I worked at Dunkin' Donuts and I worked at Wegmans,
right?
And you worked at a nursing home, but like beyond like those like regular, part-time jobs as a kid, like, what else like did people do? And like, again, not everybody did something like me or you did at a young age, try to make a little bit, extra money or whatever. But yeah, I mean, it's so weird to think back at, like
it's funny to see like all the trends too. Cause like even now, like online, there's so many different ways that you can make money. Like there's like, I can name 1,000 different ways to make money on your phone right now.
Yeah. Or if you just go on Instagram and you scroll like through like, the Discover feed and you see like all those videos like, oh, hey, you can make X amount doing this. And like, they basically tell you how to do it. And it's just a matter of, well, you just got to do the work.
Yeah. I mean, obviously you have to learn everything. That's why like, I think I still push like drop shipping and stuff on people. Cause that's like somewhere that I've learned like every skill that I have, like just between marketing, advertising, building a business, systems, operations, just like all of it, branding, fulfillment, like product, like just operations in general. I've learned a lot like with drop shipping, but nowadays, I mean, you could do anything. You could post content on TikTok. I know people could clip up like even this podcast and make money on their own channels as like affiliates for this podcast. Yeah. Like there's a million different ways you could just log on and make money. One of the other things I used to do was build businesses for influencers. So like somebody like Sneeko, for example, I would take him and just build him like a little web app and like build him like the funnels and stuff to send people for, and then I would just charge him like 20-30% of whatever he made, and I just run his entire business in the back end. So that's even like something that's printing right now. If you could just get in touch with an influencer and just like build them a business on the back end, take 20% of whatever they make.
And like, what would the business be like? Maybe like it's apparel, or maybe it's
so his was more of like Tate's The Real World. Like that's kind of like what he was recreating, like more of like a course, like that kind of thing.
Okay.
But there's a lot of people that are influential that have no idea how to do that kind of stuff.
And how to actually like monetize themselves, like by building a business.
Yeah, and you'd be surprised. Like the people that you think make money on the internet are stupid broke. Like because they don't know how to run a business. All they know is social media. They know how to post. They know how to make content. They know how to get monetized on YouTube and make AdSense. But they're missing out on literally millions, like hundreds of thousands of dollars. Just because they don't know how to build even like a product, a business, merch, whatever. Like, so you could definitely charge an easy amount, like easy money for doing that kind of stuff, as long as you're networked with the right people. And I think that's also what kind of drove me into public relations, because that's what I'm getting paid to do now, is just to meet people and connect the dots, right? Like I'm connecting people with this podcast, this interview, this influencer with that influencer, like strategic partnerships and all of this stuff. So like I kind of centered in on that. Like I want to utilize my network. I've worked with people like Sneeko. I've worked with these clothing brands. I've worked with all this stuff. How can I monetize that? And I kind of just jumped into public relations. So it's pretty cool.
The drop shipping thing. I mean, it's obviously very interesting. So like, that kind of goes back to like your earlier days, right?
Yeah. I was doing it like even then at the crisp of drop shipping. That's when you could like put together a shitty image and just run it as an ad and get tons of sales from it. And I remember even then we were talking about how hard it was to like get winning creatives or winning ads and stuff. And then now it's like, I think now I don't drop ship anymore, so I don't know like the new waves, but I think now is like TikTok shop is a big one and stuff like that. Yeah. So yeah, it's just cool. Like I started doing that when I was like 16 because I didn't want to be on social media, but I also wanted to make money. So what balance can I have? And that was just like drop shipping was like the perfect business model because I could build a business that I didn't really know what I wanted to do with, and run it, try to make money with it, and then go from there. And it just led me into opportunities, partnerships, meeting people. And
any other like unique, either deals or brands or people like that you've came across with like along this journey of like doing this? Any of the other ones you've already mentioned?
Yeah, I mean, we've worked with all kinds of different people at this point. Like literally when we're talking in public relations, I've worked with thousands of people and like getting them either published in press or on podcasts or stuff. Some of them are more memorable than others. Like we worked with a clothing brand called Kill Crew. I don't know if you know them, but they're like a big MMA like clothing brand.
Yeah,
that was huge for us to just do that and like get them published in like Flaunt or Fashion Week Daily and stuff like that. But yeah, we've worked with all kinds of different people. It's just been a wild journey, to be honest. Especially just jumping into PR. I feel like before PR, I was like, I really didn't know what I was doing. Like I was just really going through the school of hard knocks. Like I was just learning my way through this life. And then once I found PR, it kind of like, obviously there was its own difficulties, its own failures and stuff, but it really just kind of like took off because I already kind of knew what I was doing because of all this past stuff that I have already done.
Yeah. And obviously, I mean, you built a hell of a network.
I mean, that's like literally what I said like earlier is like, I'm getting paid to be as networked as possible and to be that guy that you want to call for something, right? Because that's what like public relations is. You're just relating the public at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
So it's just knowing this person and having a good relationship, knowing that person, having a good relationship. I've been able to meet some cool people and just be in like talks with cool people. And from there, just opportunities arise, you know?
Yeah.
When you're working with like multimillionaires like that, I'm working with this one guy, he's developing a city in the Dominican Republic, like building a luxury city. And we're doing the PR for that and marketing like high net worth individuals out of New York, right? That's who we're targeting. So just being like connected with those kinds of people, you like opportunities come out of that because that's just all they do all day, every day.
Yeah, it's so fascinating. Like just again, like I said it before, but kind of like the journey of the evolution of whatever it is you do. Like like I said, like for me with the podcast and the people and all that, and then same thing for you. It's like it's kind of like one thing sort of like rolls into the next thing. And I'm curious too, along your journey, for as young as you are. Have you had any challenges? I know you kind of touched on it a little bit earlier, and I'm sure you probably still face it a little bit today. Like with your age, like do people is there like still sometimes where people may not take you seriously because like you're young?
Yeah, absolutely, and that's something I like definitely I've dealt with like in high school, right after high school, because I was very young. I literally just call it age discrimination. Now, I actually just recently had a guy that I did a sales call with, but now I've established myself. I've worked with some pretty big names. I've worked with a lot of people, and I know the value of my service and how I work. And there was one guy I just did a call with. He got on the call with me and started making fun of me instantly.
Really?
Like, yeah, instantly. He was like, "Oh man," he's like, "I didn't know you were part of that generation." Like just trashing me, right?
Yeah.
And I was just like, honestly, man, like I was like, this call is not going to happen anymore. I did all my research on you. I have this audit to show you, this whole roadmap that I created for you and stuff. But I just do not want to work with you. I don't even want to offer this service to you. I know my worth. I know my value. So have a good day. And he was just kind of like, no. Like, I want to work with you. I want to work with you. I was like, no, you just trashed me for my age. Just get off get off the call. I didn't want to be rude, but that's what happened.
Good for you, man.
Yeah. So it's cool to kind of, I'm still witnessing it, but at this point now, like with social media, you should honestly want to be paying younger kids to do your stuff, right? Like as long as they're pretty trustworthy.
Sure, yeah.
They know they're growing up with it. They know it better than you.
They do. Well, this whole time as you're talking, like that like what you just said kind of has been like going through my head. I mean, I'm older than him, not like that much older, but I mean, I am. But at the same time, like when I hear you talk about like these things and your experiences and this and that, and how quickly like you caught on to opportunities and and trends and being able to capitalize on those opportunities. How I don't know how old the guy was that that trashed you, but like again, obviously he was probably older than me like too. I'm guessing,
40s,
right?
probably.
Yeah. So again, he's a little bit older than me, but again, like I think the way I look at it the same way, like you should want to work with somebody like you. Now, again, obviously, depending on your experience, obviously there's going to be caution no matter what. Like, I'm going to be cautious even if somebody is like 50 years old and trying, you know what I mean?
Especially with like the younger generation, you do have to be careful. I'm not saying to like just hire everybody that's young. Because like there was times definitely where I've closed like a client or a deal and like all that money just went towards like rent or doing this. And like I was broke. I was just figuring it out. So I wasn't able to fulfill as good a job as I should have. So there was definitely situations that I got into then And that's still happening now. You got to be careful, because if you're hiring a 17, 18-year-old kid, like chances are he's not equipped with like financial literacy or things like that. So like he might not do that good of a job, but as long as they have a track record and they could show you some results and they know what they're doing, definitely like invest in them, because
take a chance. Yeah. Take a little of a chance. And I think it's important because, like you said, like, you know, nowadays with how fast everything is changing, why spend your time to reinvent the wheel and figuring out on your own, where you could just then pay somebody like you or somebody else that, you know, knows what they're doing. They've been doing it, you know, for however many years they've been doing it. They have the experience, and, you know, all you got to do is just hire that person. You don't have to, not that you're just gonna say, oh, good luck, here's the money, just do whatever you want. But at the same time, you could just then focus on what you're best at, and then let somebody like you do the work that you do. And it just complements.
And I always try, like, whenever I can, or whenever people hit me up, I always try to help out like smaller agencies now that I've gotten to where I'm at. Like, I get cold emails every single day of like marketers or advertisers trying to do something, or lead gen, whatever the agency is. But I always try to help them out whenever they come to me. If they have a good offer, I'll pay them for their offer. I'd much rather work with a small agency and be like a good client that they're proud of to work with. Sometimes I'll just be like, yo, your script sucks. Like, this is how you should send your emails moving forward. And they'll be like, oh, thank you. Like, it's like a kind of like a cool dynamic. So I like helping people whenever they hit me up now. Like, I get hit up all the time, even with like by PR agencies starting out and stuff. Like, by now, everybody has seen my stuff in the PR world, like as far as like my advertising or my offers and stuff, just because I've been so on top of it. So it's really cool to just connect with like smaller guys in the space and help them out, and kind of have the mentality that we could kind of all win and grow together. Like, I'm not intimidated by you, you're not intimidated by me, and we could just kill it.
That's the right mindset to have, man, because not a lot of people do.
Yeah, a lot of people are so stingy with certain things. Like,
and selfish.
Yeah, for sure. They think that, like, I've been in PR for so long, I know all the big PR agencies in the space, like at least in my space. There's just so much business to go around. There's so much ideas to go around for everybody. It's not worth it to keep anything to yourself. You know, like, you might as well help each other, because it's going to grow into something huge. So
yeah, especially like, you know, like you kind of just touched on it, but like in terms of competition, like people, like, you know, the way I look at it is just like, you said it best, is there's enough to go around for everybody. It's like, why not? And you know, there's no reason to make an enemy or disassociate with somebody. Not that you have to make an enemy, but there's no reason to even like just like work with everybody. Like, be friends with everybody. Like, use everybody as a resource. Use your competitors as a resource. Like, you know, try to work with them in some way, learn from each other. And again, just like you said, like, you could just build off each other. Like, it doesn't have to be competition like some people get all like worried about. It's like, listen, there's enough to go around for everybody. Like, just do the right thing and be a good person, and that's, you know, you don't have much to worry about.
And somebody said it too, I forget who it was, but they said that you should always keep like 3 people around you at all times, and one of them should be a guy levels ahead of you that could pull you up, right? Somebody with a way bigger podcast or way bigger agency than you, that could help you pull you up, mentor you through all of the things that they've already gone through. You should have somebody that's at the same level as you, that you could talk the same game, talk the same language with, and then somebody below you that you could pull up and help out. So having those 3 people with you at all times, that's something that's also like helped me a lot. Like, just talking with PR agencies that are at my level, talking to my mentors and stuff that could pull me up and just teach me the sauce and teach me like what, like different things that they went through. It'll save you years having a mentor, and then just people below you that you're always just down to help and be a cool guy and network with. And yeah, it's really fun.
That's dope, man. I love that. I'm stealing that from you.
Yeah, you have to. It's definitely worth it.
You know, and it's funny. And as you were going through them, I'm like naming the people in my head. I'm like, I'm like, oh yeah, I got that one. I got this one. I got this one. It's like, I didn't even realize like I was kind of sort of doing that, but I didn't really think about it that way. And I think that's it's a really good way to, it's a really good mindset to have about it. Like, again, it's like, it's because it's a full circle moment, right? Like, because I always say, like, at some point, and I think I'm already kind of doing it again on a smaller level, like you said, but like helping somebody younger than me come up, because, you know, I always think like, you know, I always want to get to a point where I can help like a younger version of myself. Yeah. Right. So like me, like ultimately, I feel like, you know, like one of my bigger goals, like, you know, in the long run is to be able to, you know, when I'm like majorly successful, you know, however you want to define that, is I could give back to people that I could see myself in at a younger age. And it's like, hey, like I want to help that guy or I want to help that girl, because like they remind me of me when I was their age.
Right. And like you want to do the same thing that you wish other people did for you, right? And like I don't know, it speaks volumes about you at the end of the day. Especially with like me, like my reputation is everything. Like that's what people are like, the people that are buying with me and investing with me are like, that's what they're going off of. It's like my reputation, how I treated them, like just everything. So if it just speaks volumes, like as you as a person, to help people smaller than you to just kind of like just be a team moving forward. So
yeah,
it's helped me a lot. Like I'll always like, if somebody sends me like press or something that they have, it could be a little bit more expensive than the what I'm already spending, and I'll still use them for it just to kind of like help them out and like do that stuff with like in PR. So it's really cool.
Yeah, I feel like your generation gets shit on a lot.
Yeah.
Like I kind of like back to that guy that you said, you know, right off the bat with that call, kind of was like, I don't want, you know, your generation. Why is that? Why do people?
I think there's definitely people my age that have ruined it for everybody else. Like,
I would agree with that. Yeah.
There's a lot of people, like, especially in the online world, it's like 90% of the time you're investing money online, you're probably getting like robbed or scammed, or like there's just like there's some like shady shit going on. You have like these guys selling courses, making millions of dollars that have never made millions of dollars outside of selling courses.
Right. So,
so it's just all kind of stuff. But I think you just have to find the right people. Like with me, for example, I do PR. It's my job to get people on podcasts, to get people in press, to get people on TV. If you look into me at all, you'll see that I'm featured in press. I'm doing podcasts. I'm doing the stuff that I've already like kind of, I'm selling to you. So like, like I like to word it like there's a lot of advertising agencies out there, like Facebook ads, Instagram ads, that kind of stuff. And they'll be like cold outreaching to you, like getting you as a client through cold outreach. And it's like, they're not even running ads.
Yeah. Like
themselves.
why didn't I end up in their sales funnel?
So it's like, if your marketing is so good, like why aren't you, why am I not?
Yeah. Like why didn't you didn't you go through one of their ads and end up, And
usually the best agencies are running at like, are doing that stuff. Like there's I can name a bunch of people that are like talking the talk and walking the walk, you know. But I think like just my age group in general, like it's hard, it's competitive, we're all trying to step on top of each other, and like there's certain people that are getting ahead by doing bad business, and it's ruining it for, I guess, like everybody else.
It gives guys like you a bad name.
Right.
It's unfortunate, but like you said, you keep doing what you're doing. You have the reputation you have the relationships that you have, and you just keep doing it. And when you do right by people, I mean, people remember that. Like you said, like you're treating people the way that you want to be treated. Right. You do business the way that you want people to, do business. And I think that goes a long way, man. I think, people just, people forget about those basics, like the simple things. And, I think you're kind of like the outlier in a good way for your generation. I would hope so. Yeah. And I mean that like as a compliment, like you have, I feel like you have a bit of, like, my generation are a little bit older in you in terms of like just the way you carry yourself, your, the way you do business, etc. Obviously your maturity level and all that, and be, the relationship aspect of everything. But then also like on the flip side, then you have, that younger version, you have all the skills of that generation that like people like my age or older may not have or may never have.
And I don't know, like it might just be just like the walk that I took in life too, because like there's a lot of people my age that are very immature still. Like a lot of people are like still graduating college and stuff, and they have no idea what they're doing with their life. Like, so there's a lot of like, maybe it's just the way I took it. I don't know, maybe it's like spiritual or something like that. I found myself through that, or I don't know, but I'm happy that I kind of like went through the things that I went through, the hardships that I went through, and everything that just kind of made me into who I am. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. What was that? So you said you're spiritual. Like what, how did this all come about with the spirituality?
I mean, I'm very religious. Like I'm a Christian. So I was like grown up Catholic. So all my family was Catholic and everything, but I hated it. I just couldn't understand it. A lot of people were preaching to me that just weren't like living this, like they weren't living the life that they were telling me to live, that kind of stuff. So I turned away from it completely. And I can name, like, I would love to sit here and say that I had some like amazing miracle moment where I just knew I believed.
Like the light bulb went off.
But I really didn't.
It was kind of like discovery over time.
Very slow. And there was just like a lot of things that added up. In fact, like,
how'd you do it? Like, how'd you discover? Like, what did you do?
Yeah, I think like when I was very young, well, not very young, but I was like in middle school or something. My sister and my brother got in a really bad car accident. Like really, like it was very scary because my brother had an open heart surgery. So he had to like it's called tetralogy of flow. So he had to like replace a valve in his heart or something. And he had open heart surgery, and he had all these like precautions that he had to take. Like he couldn't lift over 5 pounds. He couldn't put a backpack on because it like might open up the scar, that kind of thing. Right. So he's like very taking it seriously. Like a week or two later, I get a call that Steph and Michael have been in a car accident. I'm like, oh, knowing Steph, it's probably just like a rear end, like she just fucked up or whatever. But it turns out that it was like super bad. They went over the road, like rolled like 7 times into the woods, hit every tree along the way, stuff like that. And then hearing like his side of the story when it was still fresh in his brain, he like climbed over my sister, pulled her out of the car, walked her to the road, and then like spoke my mom's work phone number to the police that none of us know. None of us know like my mom's work number or anything. So that was like a miraculous moment where he was like, JJ, I saw angels, like they were with me. I carried my sister out, that kind of stuff, a beautiful moment. And I was just like, kind of like, yeah, I get it, like I understand, but I wasn't like that didn't sell me, but I used that kind of into like moving forward. I was just like, all right, let me look into this a little bit more and like start reading the Bible. Originally, I wanted to read the Bible just to like prove people wrong about certain things too, like
that you didn't believe that were like true. Is that why?
Like let's say like abortion or something. I wanted to, like controversial topic, but I wanted to like read about it so then I could prove people wrong about it because I was like a big believer in that. And then just slowly, just like I'm a very like technical guy. I'm not like all faithful. Like I was looking into like archaeology of the Bible and all this, just trying to prove it for myself. And I kind of just came upon it. And like now that I've been going to like church and stuff, it's just been like super like I believe 100%, that in like Jesus and God and all of that stuff. So it's been really cool.
Not that long ago, this was probably like a topic that like I would say like I avoided it, but it's usually something that most people don't talk about. Right. But like as my show has evolved over time, I've become more open to just having conversations, just about anything and anything and everything, and politics and religion. No matter
it's always going to be controversial. Right? I know my place with it.
Yeah, so no matter like what the setting, I feel like obviously people avoid those conversations, politics and religion, but I do like to have them sometimes on this show, around these topics because I do think it's interesting, and I'm also one of those people that like I'll gladly hear whatever you have to say about it. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, no, you're wrong. Right. Oh, no, that's stupid. That's dumb. Like, I'm not going to, you know what I mean? Like, I just like to just have it because I want to learn too. You know what I mean? Like there's, I really think that there's still so much for everyone to learn. And I like to encourage other people just to have an open mind and whatever it is. And
it's super cool. Like I found myself like even reading some of the Quran and stuff just to like learn about religion and texts and stuff. Cause like I truly was like technical about it. Like I was like, all right.
How old were you when
oh man. So when they got in a car accident, I was still pretty young. I was probably like, I want to say like 16 or 17. I'm not really sure. I know my brother was very young. He was like a child, so he's like 3 years younger than me.
So he was even younger than you.
Yeah, he's super young. So, and like the fact that he was like able to open heart surgery, roll a car 7 times, and like carry my sister onto the road and not have like a scratch on him is nuts. So like kind of using his testimony and applying it to myself and just like, I don't know, trying to discover like everything on my own was really cool. And then just like going to non-denominational churches and stuff and like Protestant churches and just kind of like understanding the basic realm of the word, that helped me out a lot. So I just kind of went on my own journey and like draw my own conclusions, found myself to where I'm at. But I think the one thing that I've been trying to do a lot recently is like less talking about it and more like living out the way that it's teaching me to live, right? Like, because
how do you do that?
I don't know. I think like just the Bible tells us that the tongue is an untamable beast, right? And anything that you speak, like you can't, like, it's kind of like actions speak louder than words in a way. And I try to just do that just by like giving to people or doing certain things or like abstaining from certain things and like living a certain way to kind of set that example for other people, right? Because I think like you learn a lot about somebody if like, oh, JJ's doing XYZ, like that's like what got into you to do that. It's just like, I believe in God, man. Like you got to try it out, right? So that's where I've been at. I don't know.
Yeah. Do you believe in coincidence?
Like in what sense?
Just anything. Like, like if something like happens in your life, like, and, a lot of times, whatever it is, I can't think of a good example, but somebody might be like, oh, it's just a coincidence. Do you believe in coincidence?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think you could definitely mix up the two. I just think like there's certain times where it's just so unfathomably like that doesn't make any sense. Like there's certain things like that where it's there's something here, but then there's other things like the other day I was listening to like spiritual songs and I was just like, God, play this song next, and it just came on. So it's like something like that could be coincidence because it's on my Spotify shuffle. Like it could just hit the algorithm when I said
like
that.
The probability of it happening, it might be kind of low, but it's likely.
Yeah. So like that, there's stuff like that where I definitely do believe it could get mixed in. But I do think that
but there's like bigger things, like bigger picture things.
Yeah, I think there's some like, for example, my brother knowing my mom's work phone number after a car accident, that's completely unlikely. You know, like how you've never, like none of us knew it, so how did you know it? Yeah. Especially at that age, and just like maybe you could say that it was like in his brain, he heard it somewhere and he got like, he just rolled a car, so he just spoke it and it just came out of his conscious. I don't know, but that was enough for me to like, okay, maybe, that makes sense.
Yeah. But it kind of like one of those things where I feel like it could be like really deeply rooted unconsciously. And it's like sometimes a moment like that, it brings it to your conscious. Like I am fascinated by like conversations like this. And again, like it also, as you said, like does tie into, spirituality, religion, whatever you want to say. Because again, in moments like that, like how did that happen? Like how did he do that? Like how did, like, and it is really interesting to think about.
I urge like even people that are not faithful, like, and I'm not even telling you to come to Christianity because I didn't come to Christianity first. I went like a snake around the, like where I was going. I was reading the Quran, I was reading the Bible, I was reading this version of the Bible, that version of the Bible. So I didn't really know where I was going. So even if you're unspiritual, I think religion in general is like a net positive for your life, believing in a higher power and being taught to do good in general. So I think like I just urge anybody to just like make your own conclusion, like go on your own little path, like do shrooms, I don't know,
do something.
Do something.
Just do something.
And you'll come to it eventually. Like in my faith, I'll pray about you. I hope that you do come this way. But if you find yourself, like touching the cube and then wherever the Dubai or wherever that thing is for the Muslim, like you could just do it.
I like that. So. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, because I guess that's one of the things. Like again, I think a lot of the reasons people are afraid to like have these conversations is because some people are like real pushy. Some people for sure do try to like persuade you or whatever, and like that's something like I don't like either. I'll have a conversation about religion all day long,
and it's the same thing about politics too. It's like some people, like there is just nothing that you can say.
I already know what you're gonna say.
Change your mind, you know?
Yes.
So like it just gets into an argument, and that's the same thing with religion. Anything controversial like that, like there's just nothing that you could tell.
Yeah, some people just you can't, like some people can't even have the conversation because like they immediately are just like nope, you're wrong, like, and it's just like no, like I'm not trying to persuade, like we're just talking about it, like,
and that's where like actions speak louder than words come in, is because when you're in a conversation like that, it's always better to just maybe agree, smile, nod, and like confuse the person of like what's going on, right? Like if you're arguing about it and then all of a sudden Bill is just like, okay, yeah, you're right, like I agree with you 100%, and then it's just like, okay, that spoke volumes, compared to like arguing back and forth, right? Like doing something, I think speaks a lot more than just like kind of saying stuff.
So when you said like, you read the Bible, you read the Quran, like I mean, like how much did you read? Like I didn't
read the whole Quran, so I'm not gonna lie, but I did read the entire Bible. I've read like a couple chapters of the Quran and stuff, like looked into it, like more like Googling like certain things about the Quran and stuff.
Yeah, not a lot of people do that.
Yeah, I mean it was pretty interesting. Like even like with Islam, I envy a lot of people in Islam because like I think there's a lot of stuff in the Bible too that teaches what we're supposed to do and what like certain avenues that we're supposed to take that we're not doing anymore. But I think like with Islam, they take it a lot more strict. Like when it says to like, when you're praying to God, you should put your forehead to the floor and lay out a mat and stuff. Like that's stuff that they're doing. Like I've watched people pray at airports and stuff in Islam and like miss their flight because they had to pray. So like that's stuff that I envy about Islam a lot, is that they're doing that kind of stuff. With Christianity, like all that stuff is still there. It's just like we're not, I don't know what happened. I don't know what point it just kind of fell off, but we started becoming like less strict about it. For example, like let's say like adoption and stuff like that. Like we're commanded in Christianity to adopt children and like to bring orphans in. And really as Christians, if we all like adopted one family or one person a year, I believe like all of like like people in the system would just be abolished. Like there would be no foster care system if everybody in the church just like adopted a kid right now. But then you don't see that, you know, like even though we're commanded that, like we're not seeing that.
Not that many people are doing it. It's still just a small percentage.
And that's when you get into arguments, because then it's like those same people are like, oh, you shouldn't abort your kid. But then it's like, well, you're not adopting kids either. So like, what are we supposed to do?
Like what are you doing about the situation? You know, like if you're preaching that like, hey, like I'm part of this religion, this is what we do and this is what we believe, but it's like, well, what are you doing? And if you're doing nothing, then it's like, well, what's going on here?
I want to make that a goal too. I definitely want to like adopt some kids in the future. Like once I start settling down, I think like 1 or 2 kids, that would be really cool. Or at least do like more missions. Like I want to do like trips to like Africa or something and just like help, like be a part of that like culture and like kind of help out in any way that I can. I want to start doing that. Maybe.
I told you I did that, right?
Oh, did you?
Yeah. I don't know if did we talk about this or no?
I don't know
if we did or not. Yeah, but the episodes actually I think your episode will be coming out after them. But I went to Africa this past summer.
Oh, nice.
Had a delay in releasing the episode, so but like I said, by the time this episode comes out, yours here, those should have already have likely come out. But yeah, I went to Africa. Did 4 episodes. Actually, we visited a ton of orphanages. I was around thousands of kids. It was like a water well project in Kenya.
Oh, awesome.
So yeah, I'll tell you a little bit more about it offline too. So like I said, you'll have to check some. I think you'll really enjoy a couple of those episodes because I mean,
I'll definitely watch it.
It's exactly
what you're saying. To me. I want to do something like that because like a lot of people that did that, like what they told me when they come back is like, you feel so much more like grateful, like for the little things that you have here, like after you do a trip like that. Like my grandfather was saying, like he came back from a trip like that and he was literally like turning on the sink and like trickling water out to wash his hands. So that, because like he was just there for months. So pretty cool.
Yeah, no, like when I came back, the joke I always kind of say now is anytime I ever hear like anyone like really complain about anything or, you know, they're just bitching about things. And it's like, if you only knew like what is like for people, you know, halfway around the world and the living conditions that they have, like you wouldn't be complaining. Like you wouldn't complain about anything if you saw how families and children live in Africa. Like you really would. Like these people, they literally have nothing. When I say nothing, I mean nothing. Like it's hard to actually comprehend that. But like when you're there and you see it firsthand, like it's one thing to see, I would say it's one thing to see it like on TV or in the news or even on a podcast like mine, right? Like, cause I documented it in the episodes, you know, we have it, but like seeing it firsthand, like people actually starving. And have no water, like no water, like none. Like, can you imagine not having water?
I know, that's insane. Like
it's almost unbelievable. Like it almost
literally unbelievable.
Like it almost doesn't seem real. You know what I mean? Like when you think about it, because again, in America, like I feel like, you know, because of all the opportunity and everything that we have here in America, and because it's America, like it's not that often that we as Americans think about you know, those situations and people like in Africa. And I know it's not just Africa. Yeah, but
there's plenty of places. I think like just majority of the world is like that.
It's like it's actually like more than 80%. Did you know that?
It's insane. That's nuts to me.
Right? So like I think it might have been like it was either right before or right after. Maybe when I was there. I can't remember. But somebody gave a stat out. I think it was when I was there.
Yeah.
And I think it was another American and I don't remember who it was, but somebody gave out a stat about like how much of the world is third world and lives like the people in Africa that we were, you know, witnessing. And like, I thought he was exaggerating and I thought to myself like, oh my God, this guy's like really exaggerating this stat here. And like, I actually looked it up and I'm pretty sure it's between I think like 80 and 85% of the world is third world.
Oh yeah, for sure. I also read like stats of like how much money you have to make to be in the top 1% of the world, and it's like next to nothing because of those living conditions. It's wild to me like that we're debating politics and debating religions and stuff, and it's just like they don't even have like a kiosk to go to vote or like a church to go to walk. Nothing. Like it's nothing. Like they're just out there living in like living off rice and like it just terrible stuff. So I definitely want to make that a goal of mine to even maybe start like a derivative of my company of like some kind of like nonprofit charity to help out and like see what I could do. And I think honestly, like you could do it at any level, you know, like you don't have to be ultra successful to just help people. So I want to just start getting into that and, you know, just kind of letting my actions speak, you know, louder than my words and just kind of do it. So
no, it's cool, man. Yeah. Like I said, not a lot of people, have that attitude and mindset towards it. So I think it's great. And yeah, like you said, like once you experience something like that, and it does change you. Like like I kind of went into it thinking like, not that I didn't think like when I went into it, not that I didn't think it would be like this crazy experience where I'd come back and but it kind of sort of was. I mean, like again, when I came back, like for a little while, and I don't know how long it was, to sort of like readjust. I was there for almost 2 weeks.
Okay.
And like when I came back, it was like, came back and like you almost felt like guilty.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Sure
like
you would.
you come back but you're also still replaying all that stuff. And I think it also, for me, it took me a while for all that stuff to process, like what I just witnessed, like all that poverty and just like, but the craziest part about all of it, and everybody always asks me, like one of the most fascinating things I found during that experience was, even though these people are the poorest of the poor and literally have nothing, like they don't even have clean water, right? They were like, almost all of them like were the happiest and nicest people in the world.
Yeah,
like literally, like they were giving us stuff. Like they were like,
amazing.
They were giving stuff to us. And it's like, I feel like we should have been giving stuff to them.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like
it gives you faith in humanity a little bit more too. Like, I don't know, just to see that. Like I said, that's probably like, I haven't witnessed it, but it's probably like just an amazing feeling to be there, like, and kind of see how that, because they don't have the phones or this, that, the other thing they like worry about. So they're just focused on like the general aspects of life, you know, of like
actually survival.
Loving it. Yeah.
I one of the episodes, the one gentleman, he, I think he was in his early 20s, and he was one of the beneficiaries of the one orphanage that we were at. And, he went through the orphanage and now he works there, right? So it's like full circle moment. But literally every day, like the way he described it, literally every day was just pure survival. Yeah. So like think about that. I know like some people might think I'm exaggerating right now, and I'm not. And if you want to listen to the episode, like you can hear him say it himself. It was literally survival, meaning like you'd have to steal stuff and sell it just to be able to afford food and water, just to be able to eat. Like that's it. It's pure survival every day. Yeah. And it's like, obviously there's hardly anyone that we even know that you could probably even like say like, oh yeah, that's how they lived, like, or that's how they grew up. Like, not really. Like you think you have it bad, but it's like, no, like this kid, he was, as a very, very, very young kid, that's it. Like that was his life. And he struggled as a kid, and finally he got into an orphanage. Like he actually would lie just to get into school and to like these orphanages. He would lie because he would go so that he can take him and his siblings just so they can eat. Yeah, that's crazy. Like they lied about who they were, where they're from, and all that, just so they can get into a school just to be able to eat. It makes you wonder like what kind of minds we have over there if they were just given the same opportunity that we have, Like you look at like these Elons or just like these great athletes and stuff, and it's just like how many of them exist in those countries that we just don't know about. Yeah, and some of them may never come to be because, well, they don't have the resources, and or they're just they have nothing. They have absolutely nothing. Yeah, there's ever watched the movie The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind or something, something like that. That's a great movie that depicts that of like growing up with nothing. I think he like invented some kind of like windmill for his farm to like generate like pipes, like the water and stuff to be able to water the farms and everything. Because he didn't have it, so he just created it. Yeah, so he created it with a bunch of like junk parts and spare parts and stuff. But that was scary, and even like the like cartels and stuff they have over there, like surviving through that. Like I don't know if you remember. I think his name was like Coney or something. I don't know if you remember that video being super viral when we were younger. But that was like nuts to watch, like of just like gang members and stuff just coming in like. They have like, even if they were to progress, like they would just get shut down immediately from like just bad people. Oh right? Yeah. It's crazy. I mean, there was definitely some sketchy situations, Sure. It's like, I want to do one of the safaris though. I feel like that was pretty cool. Did you do that when we did? We did. Yeah, it was cool. Yeah, we saw some lions. They were sleeping, but we saw them. That was, I guess, one thing I was kind of surprised by. Like, not that I thought we were going to see like a ton of animals running around like this and that, but we pretty much did see almost all like the big the ones that you would expect to see. Elephants and stuff, the giraffes. Yeah. So the only thing we didn't see was elephants, and the reason because the land that we were on, like where we did the safari, they're actually I forget it was a I don't know how many acres, but a real lot, like way more than we can even imagine, right? But what we were told was that land isn't even big enough for the elephants because like they constantly roam. So like wherever we were, like there wasn't enough vast open space for them to roam and to walk. So like they don't like in that one area where we were, they like, I don't know where the nearest area was that we could have maybe seen them, but like where we were, they're just not there. Because it's just too small. I mean, it was huge, but too small for them, right? And then the surprising thing was with lions is, and I didn't even know this, like they mostly sleep like almost all day.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and like we saw a couple different ones a few different times. There was one that was, I think, awake up in a tree, but then we saw a couple other ones like laying like on the ground, like right off the like here's the road, and like they were like right there, like literally like 5 feet off the truck. And they were sleeping, and like they didn't wake up.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Like, not obviously no one was like, yelling or making noise or anything.
I would think like lions would be a lot more active. I feel like they'd be dominating the whole area.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. But I guess it's because they actually they sleep for I forget how long in a day, but they actually sleep a real lot. But it's to be able to have the energy to go and hunt.
I'm sure too, like with their size, like if they're like running at the speeds that they're running, I'm sure they have to like conserve their energy a lot and eat a lot more food and stuff. Like like cheetahs and shit, like they're running like 100 miles an hour,
Yeah, that's got to use up a lot.
Yeah, you gotta be burdened.
Got to use up a lot of gas in the tank. Yeah, we only saw female lions. We didn't see a male lion, but a few females. And again, they were sleeping, and like they were like right there. It was cool to see them. Obviously, even though they were sleeping. But I would have thought, I was hoping to see them. I didn't think we would, because I thought they'd be harder to see. And they were, but again, they were sleeping. I didn't realize that they actually sleep most of the day to conserve their energy.
I've been working with a lot of people outside of Africa for some reason. Like I've been running into a lot of like, even in India too. Like
really?
You'd think that their like economies were completely garbage. Like just like I know with me in e-commerce, like I would turn off advertising to India just automatically because I knew they weren't buying nothing. They're just broke. But nowadays, I'm starting to see a lot more success.
It's flipped?
Almost completely.
Wow.
I'm working with like people that could actually afford to work with me from India, from Africa, working with like photographers out of Africa and stuff. It's just a really cool to see like the rest of the world they're slowly starting to
connect.
up. Connect with each other and stuff. So hopefully the whole poverty thing we talked about kind of makes a little bit of a flip moving forward. There's more opportunities, especially with like being online, having access to, the internet and stuff, like just basic human rights, I guess, like having access to that stuff, it just brings so much more opportunity. That's one thing that I like Elon's doing too, is like Starlink and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
The fact that some of these nations still don't have Wi-Fi or like service or whatever.
It's crazy, isn't it?
It's nuts.
It is. It's insane.
Yeah. As long as you could get phones and Wi-Fi symbols out there and stuff, I'm sure they can make their money and kind of grow on the internet.
Well, kind of like along those lines, and kind of back to like, like you and your business, like, you obviously like pretty much everything you do, it's all virtual, right? It's all digital, it's all online. Like there's no like, your whole ecosystem is digital, right?
Yeah. I mean, everybody that I've ever met too, like they've like a lot of my clients, I'd say 99% of my clients have only met me from a laptop,
That's so
just like
funny.
from the Zoom screen.
Yeah.
So I think in 2025, I'm trying to transition a little bit, and it's like one of my goals to just really do a lot more in-person things. Like we're starting to throw events and stuff now for clients that I want to actually meet up with them and like be there with them to like promote it. And just like all of this stuff. Like even I'm just talking about opening up my own office in 2025 too. And it's like, I think we were talking about this before the podcast, but me not really having a reason to open an office because I am all virtual, like it doesn't really make sense, like from any perspective. But I really want to just tie in more in-person things, like setting up studios or podcast studios or just content, just in general, to get people there and like start meeting a lot of the people that I work with like in person, and just kind of driving that as a industry standard, I guess, for myself. Do a lot more podcasts, a lot more interviews, and just a lot more networking at these things is one of my goals. So
and where you at? You're in Austin, right?
Yeah, I'm in Austin, Texas.
How long you been there?
I've been here since I think like May of this last year, so I'm going on a year soon.
You like it out there? I heard it's awesome, man.
Yeah. So when I lived in Scottsdale, that was cool, but the dynamic just wasn't there. Like it's very like deserty. Very hot in the summer. Coming to Austin, so far I've been loving it. Like it's literally awesome. Like it's so untapped in terms of just living in general. It's cheap to live there.
Is it? I would have thought it would have been real expensive.
Comparatively. So like I would say like house prices and stuff are probably around the same as like out here.
Wow.
But comparatively to like in Scottsdale, I was paying like $3K, $3,500 a month for like a 2-bedroom apartment. And
Crazy.
out in Austin, I think I'm paying like $2K or something.
Wow.
So yeah, so it's a lot cheaper. Same,
almost half.
like, same size, same everything, same amenities, all of it, but it's just way better. It's more spaced out. It's like the most like, and politics too is interesting out there. They're like their own political party in Texas. It's like they're like all like Democrat, but then they're gun loving Democrats. Like if that makes sense. Like that's where they're at.
It's an interesting dynamic,
like,
isn't it?
Yeah, it's just weird. But I like it. Went to the comedy club a few times. They have really good bars, clubs, barbecue, that kind of thing. So the life out there to like do things. There's a lot of hiking, which I'm a big fan of. It's a lot to do out there. And so far, everybody that I met out there that's doing something is super cool, super interesting. I had the boys out visiting me over the summer. They did a couple of podcasts.
Yeah, I remember seeing them come out. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just always like everybody's just doing something, and it's fun. You meet a lot of people. So
yeah. And by the way, shout out to the Go-Getters, Kevin and Darian for introducing us. I know you and I connected a little while back through those guys, and we finally, connected again to make this episode happen. But I'm glad I caught you on this trip.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm excited. I think there's a lot of stuff that you're doing here, and like it's just like my world intertwines with you guys' world so much that it's like like I have to kick myself. It's like, why aren't we doing something?
Yeah, and
together,
why haven't we done this? Why haven't we done this sooner? Why haven't we done business together sooner?
Yeah.
Like I feel like, why haven't we met sooner? But I always say, and kind of going back to the whole coincidence thing, I feel like the time may just not have been right. And like I may have forgot one time, you may have forgot one time, and like no big deal. Like we finally synced back up. And I don't know. Like I think the universe just connect us again. At this time again for a reason. I don't know why. And we haven't figured. We don't really know yet. But like something, I feel like something will probably happen soon-ish. That like we'll be like, oh shit, that's exactly why we didn't connect. However, I don't even know how long ago it was that we were first texting. I don't even remember, dude.
Yeah,
but
it was probably a while ago.
It was probably like months ago. Months ago. And then I was talking to Kevin like a couple weeks ago, and he brought your name up, and he's like, oh hey, my buddy JJ's home, and I'm like, oh yeah, shit, I forgot. Him and I were texting, blah blah. And I was like, oh man, I'm like, tell him I'm sorry and tell him to shoot me another text because I forgot to save your number. And we just, again, your schedule, my schedule, we just kept missing each other. And but again, like I think. I always find, it usually, and it's always with a guest on my show. It's I don't know what it is, but when it finally like happens, like it is right now, there's always like a light bulb moment, like right after. And I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Like the timing just wasn't right then. And like now it is. And I think that's with everything.
You see that with everything. Yeah, like because there was just recently I signed on one of these clients that back then, like I think we met him originally like 2 years ago or something. And he just didn't work out. It didn't pay us, whatever. And that would have been huge for us at the time. And then recently he came to us and like paid and worked with us and everything. And now it's like one of those light bulb moments. It's like completely makes sense of why I didn't work with him then.
Like why it didn't work out.
Yeah, thank God I didn't work with him then, because like now I could actually like do something really cool with him. So stuff like that. And I think like even just everything you have going on here at like on the stacks, and just even with Go-Getters and all the stuff that they're planning on doing, I think there's a lot of room that we could come in and really like just work together on. And there's a lot of stuff that could be done. So I'm excited to see where it goes for sure.
Yeah, 100%, man. Me too. Because like I said, I think a lot of times it is just like this initial conversation, and it's like I feel like after this, like the sky's the limit. Like this, just like even though like we've been texting for a few months on and off here and there, but like now like we finally got the opportunity to like really sit down and like really talk. I know we talked a little bit here and there, but like nothing like we did now on this episode. And it's like, oh man, like. It's like now, like I feel like we want it. Like it's like we now. My wheels are turning. Like, all right, what are we gonna do?
Yeah, and it's so funny too, because like on my way over here, I was telling you earlier, it's like I was almost having like this pinch me moment where it's like, what am I doing? Like I don't know if you ever get that like imposter syndrome or something.
All the time.
But like just being with my friends, like I basically grew up with like Brian, Kevin, and them. And it's just like being here now together, like and doing podcasts and traveling and doing all this stuff. Like me and Kevin are going to Miami on Friday. It's just like, what are we doing? Like I don't know. I had this like pinch me moment where it's like
it like almost like doesn't seem real, and you're like, how did this happen? How did this all come together?
But I'm so grateful, because like even that, it's like that's one of those things where it's like, does everything happen for a reason? Because like I I didn't know any of them before high school, right? Because I was in a completely different school.
Right, you said you're in the
I was going
Poconos.
through my own thing, and then out of nowhere, I had the opportunity, thankful for my parents, to be able to take me to Myers and go to school there, and then meet everybody now. And to still see us together, still friends, still working on our own thing and being creative in our own way, years and years later after high school and stuff. It's just amazing. Like, that's something that you just can't, you just don't get often. So
and you can't plan it. Like,
yeah,
it
you have
just
to be very grateful for just all of that. I don't know. It's awesome.
I 100% agree. So if anyone, listening, watching, is interested in possibly working with you, like, how can people connect with you online? Where do they need to go?
Yeah. So you could go to my Instagram.com/JJCRTER. You could also go to our website. It's just Gldn PR.com. And you could just connect with me there.
Awesome, bro. Well, this was great, man. I'm glad I'm glad we finally did it. And one of these times I feel like I've been saying this like forever, not like to multiple people, like, because Austin just comes up a lot anymore in conversation. I think probably because also there's like, obviously Tesla moved there with Elon, and
Apple's there too. They moved their headquarters. It's a lot.
Yeah, like there's there's obviously like a lot of tech there. I love tech. I love everything digital and tech and all that. And podcasting, obviously from what I understand is huge there too.
Yeah.
And I know the guys obviously have been out there, and I feel like I got to get out there.
Yeah. Well, now you have a guy there to like a little like diamond, I guess, just to connect you or whatever. So like we're
right.
here.
You got bunk beds or what?
Yeah, I got whatever you need. I'll go get it.
Good. All right. Yeah. Bunk beds. I get the top bunk though.
Yeah. I'm more of a bottom bunk, I guess, myself. So
yeah. All right. Cool. Good. Yeah. It'll work out. Yeah. Well, man, this is great. I'm looking forward to seeing what else you're gonna do, man. I'm impressed with what you've done. I like what you're doing, and I appreciate the hustle, man.
Yeah. Thank you. It's an honor to be here and to do this. So.
All right, JJ Carter on the Stacks in the Sweat 10 studio. Thanks for joining me.
That's it. Peace.
If you want to see more On the Stacks content, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/onthestackspodcast, or search the hashtag On the Stacks on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn.